G'day! G'day everybody, welcome back to another video, and this time we are doing a subscriber spotlight. This is FrenchiePancakes in the Tier 8 French Tank Destroyer. Excuse me for a moment, I've had the flu. No joke, I had the flu. Anyway guys, we got FrenchiePancakes playing in the Tier 8 AMX AC 48, and just a couple of housekeeping things before we start the video. This still is the 15,000 gold giveaway competition going on at the time that this video is being released, so do check that out. It is in the description below. Also, if you guys want to be subscriber of the week, all you have to do is send me your replays at heavilyarmored.com/contact, and please do make sure that they are as recent as humanly possible. For example, I got a replay from 0.9.17 and that didn't work on my system, and I don't have them backed up, so be real big, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It would be a real what's the word? It would be a pleasure. That's not the right word, but it would be a pleasure if you could send me a replay that is from as recent as possible. But anyway guys, as you can see, he is taking up a kind of an odd position in my opinion. I think that if you go into this position, you do leave yourself open on all flanks, especially in a tank without a turret where you can't really turn around very easily, or if you do, then you completely expose the bad parts of the tank. And this tank is not well armored on the sides or the rear at all, like pretty insanely badly armored actually. But this tank here has a 120mm gun, does about 257 penetration. I was going to say 56, I was close, and does 400 damage per shot, so it has no issues in taking out that tier 6 French artillery there. So bye bye Mr. Artillery. The team seem pretty spread out. There isn't really I guess a favor to the east or west flank for FrenchiePancakes team, but the bad thing is that the enemy team has taken that donut kind of area on the on F9 kind of G9 area, so they are able to get some pretty damn good advantage there, being able to shoot down at the rest of the map effectively. And so far the teams on both ends actually are starting to be picked apart pretty damn quickly. We can see that the scores now are 3-4, so that isn't that great. And also that this Dicamax right here is completely what's the word I'm looking for, tunnel visions, and it goes drive straight in front of the huge gun of Frenchie here. And this is something I do want to point out as well. If you are driving a French tank destroyer, this is about the worst thing that you can do. No hate, FrenchiePancakes, but I mean, I do this as well sometimes, especially if you feel cornered and backed up. But if you expose the top of your tank like this, then enemies can shoot right into these weak spots here. It gives them such an easy shot, or just anywhere on the top of the tank, which is very weak, like very weak indeed. So this was not a great place to be in, but luckily it paid off because FrenchiePancakes was able to take out that Dicamax pretty reliably. And you can see there like why you want to have that donut area on the top of this map, because you can get shots again really across the whole map. That T-71 was able to get into a shot. Luckily it only did 150 damage, but could you imagine if an ISU got up there or something big like that with a huge gun and gets a shot off into you? It would be very frustrating indeed. So I think Frenchie here sees an opportunity to take out an enemy tank on the team, and for that SU-100 on low health, he knows he can go through the armor very reliably, and that SU-100 takes a shot and gets taken out by Frenchie. This is Frenchie's third kill, guys, and there's many more to come after that, I promise you that. So right now, it's not in the best position for his team, or the enemy team really. There's two tier 8 tank destroyers on this side of the map with pretty good frontal armor, so that's pretty nasty. And also with this kind of tank destroyer, you really don't want to be getting too brawly, in my opinion, because it just leaves the top of these kind of weak spots at the top of the tank very open for the enemy team. But he is trying to get a shot off into the side of that T-28 prototype, but does miss. And if guys, you are shooting at the front of a T-28 prototype, the place to shoot is the side cheeks, so that those places right next to the gun mantlet itself, just like that, you're able to go through it. He is using premium rounds here, but even some non-premium rounds will be able to go down. It is probably the weakest part of the front of the T28 prototype, or just stay away from the front of the T28 prototype, get around the sides maybe. So luckily artillery is doing their job and really pummeling the T28 prototype, and Frenchie here is able to take out the T28 prototype as well, switching back to standard rounds here, which is a really good idea. He's clearly very aware of the ammunition he's using. I mean, we're all guilty of sometimes using a premium ammunition because we just forget we've switched onto it, or maybe we've accidentally switched onto it or whatever. So right now Frenchie decides that, you know what, I'm in a tier 8 tank destroyer, I've got really good armor at the front of the tank, apart from those weak spots, I'm just going to go try and take out that T-34-85. And this is something you can do for tier 6 tanks and tier 7 tanks. By all means, go and brawl. Also, this tank is really good at ramming, as you're about to see, because it does have very good frontal armor and speed. But that artillery on the other team gets a shot off into him, and in my opinion, I mean, I personally really hate the stunning mechanics of artillery. I guess it's because I don't play them myself, but I just find that, you know, if I was on this health, I would just be like, okay, well, that M12 on the enemy team is just going to be able to shoot in my radius, in my postcode, and just be able to completely destroy me because of those slash mechanics. But whatever, that's a rant for another day, I think. So right now, the scores are pretty even. There's 3 tanks left on Frenchie's team, and there's 4 tanks left on the enemy team. What they have is they have another artillery, which is a big advantage, because a splash, as I said, can really ruin your day and just destroy you. But luckily, they're not the most dangerous of artillery, although that M12 does have a very big gun on it. So here we see Frenchie seeing if he can get a shot off onto that IKV, but he also is being cautious of that T28 prototype. That's why he's got the premium rounds loaded, because if he does come across that T28 prototype, he wants to be sure that he can take him out on first hit. And with these rounds, you could probably go straight through the front of the hull and be able to destroy it. He does spot that M44, and he does seem to have a pretty good crew on the tank, and he spots the T28 prototype, and the T28 prototype would spot him. He doesn't have sixth sense, but you know that because that T28 prototype saw him, he's going to have been spotted himself. And that is a really bad situation to be in, guys, because now the artillery, as you saw, knows exactly where Frenchie is, and because he is in a turretless tank destroyer, it is quite a dangerous situation. And that IKV 90B must have sixth sense, because he's been spotted and backed away, and probably hasn't spotted anyone in return. So this is a pretty bad situation to be in, but regardless, Frenchie turns around, trying to give his attention to that T28 prototype. And the T28 prototype is going around, and I'm not sure what Frenchie does here. Maybe he tunnel visions or something, but he doesn't react for a while. That kind of makes my heart drop, but luckily he does notice in time and takes out the T28 prototype, which is the biggest threat by far on the enemy team with the biggest gun. I think he was using the 120mm, same damage, alpha damage as Frenchie here. But luckily, he doesn't destroy Frenchie. In fact, Frenchie destroys him. So here we have Frenchie going off and looking for the artillery, because, as I said, artillery, if they even go near you, they're going to do damage, destroy you. It doesn't matter, they're going to ruin your day. And with 2 artillery, with their reloads faster now because of the buff, it's just best to take out the enemy artillery. So he's going hunting for artillery here, trying to see where that M12 is, because it hasn't even been spotted. So it's probably going to be in the K region of the map somewhere, whether it's here or to the right. We don't know. So he's calling on his artillery to be able to destroy the enemy artillery in case he spots him. He does spot the enemy artillery and takes him out very efficiently, very effectively. Now that GW Panther, as we're about to see, is not going to have the greatest time, because that IKV hasn't been sitting in that one spot and is going to try and take out Frenchie as best as he can, or just take out the artillery as best as he can. So you can see here that Frenchie was going to head back the other way to try and see if he could find the IKV, but unfortunately the IKV found his artillery and destroyed the artillery. So Frenchie here is now going to go back and try and defend his base, or try and destroy the enemy team, or the IKV I should say, because he knows that IKV is going to try and destroy him. It's very much a dog-eat-dog world in World of Tanks, is it not? So Frenchie's about to do something quite interesting here, which I've never done before, and I'm not sure if it's not necessarily a bad thing, but he's going to go up to a very high vantage point, and this is something that this tank can do because it has pretty good mobility. It's not amazing, but it's pretty good. So he goes up into this very tight little spot up here on the map. It's not quite boosting, but you know, he's in a spot that I certainly would never go to, because I wouldn't even think to go up here. But I guess this is a pretty good advantage with a turretless tank, which is that IKV, of course. But he decides to keep moving because the game is starting to come to an end. Only 4 minutes left. He does have to be careful. This is a huge map, so if he wants to spot the enemy team, he's going to need to do it. He does have a good view range on this tank, so he might be using coated optics, so he's almost at that 445 meter view range, which is a pretty good situation to be. And he spots the M44 on the team, and he spots the IKV, so he's got to really prioritize his shots here. He's in a very bad position here, guys, because if that IKV hits him, then he's at such a low angle that his effective armor, so this armor here, doesn't become so sloped anymore. Imagine if the shell is going like that, it's just going to go straight through. And also, if that IKV shoots anywhere on the top of this tank, he's going to be able to penetrate and go through. So this is a very intense moment. He's trying to angle, he over angles, but he does manage to bounce the shell, and I'm pretty sure, guys, that the shell bounces right here. And on this kind of hammerhead here, these are no hitbox zones, so if it bounces off, it bounced off harmlessly and missed the tank. So very, very lucky for Frenchie indeed. And in fact, in his email he sent to me, he said how he pretty much shut his pants because he was so scared. And that IKV bounces again. In fact, he bounces a heat round off the front of the tank, but it wasn't enough to be able to go through clearly, and Frenchie takes out the last tank on the team. So this was a really good game, guys. 10 kills, 3,115 damage, and 436 spotting damage. But let's have a look at the post-game stats so we can really get an idea of just how well Frenchie performed. So guys, looking at the stats, you can see he didn't actually get a Mastery badge, Ace Tanker, but honestly it would have been that close because this was a really good game. He did get a Hand of God, a Bruiser medal, a Duelist medal, a Fire for Effect medal, a Shell Proof medal, and 2 epic medals. He got a Dumitri's medal, which is destroying 3 enemy SPGs in one battle. So remember, he destroyed the first SPG in the first minute or so. And Pool's medal here as well for destroying 10 or more vehicles, which is really fantastic. Of course, on the enemy team, guys, not your own team. You got a high caliber, and he got a Top Gun, and he really performed very, very well in this game indeed, guys. And if we have a look at the detailed report here, he fired 13 shots, 12 of which penetrated, because he knows how to use his premium rounds and his standard rounds. So kudos to you, because clearly you know what you're doing in game. He did 3,115 damage. As I said, he also blocked almost 1,200 damage. And remember, guys, at the end of the game, it was very, very, very lucky that he bounced that shot. In fact, it's quite a miracle, really. And he also did 436 spotting damage. So all in all, he got 1,290 base experience, which in most tanks I would think would be a Mastery badge, but regardless, this was not. You can see that he performed the best in his game, in his team by far, and really kind of stood up against the odds. But anyway, guys, thank you so very much for watching. If you did like the video, please do consider leaving it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, think about subscribing. Again, if you do want to send me your replays, just head to heavilyarmored.com/contact and you can send me your replays. Do make sure that they're recent. Also, 15k gold competition still going, guys. But anyway, thank you so very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.